What a fun part of a rain delay. The White Sox and Cubs lined up to the point where, you know what? I could have waited the 30 more minutes that the Cubs had, but we just won. The White Sox won 6-0. Welcome into the CHGO White Sox postgame show presented by Bet365. We have Evie Warrior saying a big night for Murakami, single, homer, and a double. Shy Buff saying half game out of first. How we feeling, y'all? Akira saying he better not start thinking doubles are acceptable. It's not a bad thing to add to your portfolio. Diversify a little bit. You know, MVP voters will want to see a couple doubles, right? Major Comeback saying, my favorite bedtime podcast is back. I'm going to sleep good tonight, especially after a White Sox winner. Let's take you through it. This is game 35 on the year, I believe. I think, nope, I don't know how to do math. Whatever 17 plus 18 is. I don't have a producer to bail me out on this one. I have an education. No, it's 35. Let's go. Okay, I know how to do ads. It was Davis Martin versus Jose Soriano. We saw this just 5 days ago at Wright Field. It went in the White Sox favor as they swept the Angels. Will it happen tonight? Well, I guess, spoiler alert, we got 56 people watching because it was a 6-0 shutout victory for the White Sox. How'd they do it? Top of the first, Antonacci and Mune with leadoff walks, then Vargas Cade. Colson Cade, and I started to lose doubt in a 2-2 count. Chase Mydroth with an RBI single back up the middle, 1-0 Sox, and then Benny. He had 4 hits tonight, an RBI single, a dribbler through the infield, 2-0 White Sox after the first inning. Jose Soriano forced to throw 32 pitches in that first. In the top second, then, Romo walks, Antonacci with a single, Mooney with a fielder's choice. Not really a notable, I mean, he had a single, he had a double, he had a homer. I could talk about everything besides the fielder's choice, but he just continues to hustle. It's not because of the impressive home runs. It's not because of his lack of ability to whiff. It's because of everything. It's the leadership. It's the humor. It's the hard work. It's the hustle. It's the power. Hold on. What do you have?
I have power.
Let's go, Mooney. The Mooney drops are working. But Mooney with a fielder's choice. Great hustle by Mooney to at least make it a fielder's choice. Vargas would then fly out, but Soriano forced to make 48 pitches through 2. Bottom of the second. Second out of the inning, Mydroth with a beautiful sliding stop near the second base hole in between the bag and such to get old friend Yohan Moncada. Nice job by Chase Mydroth. I thought it was going to be the Chase Mydroth game, but then Murakami would homer for his 14th time later on in the game. Top of the third, Benny with a 2-out single. That one, I think, is his hardest hit of the night at 100 mile per hour exit velocity. Kelnick with a single. I thought it was a possible error, but they listed it at least immediately as a hit. And then Peters would ground out. Soriano at 63 pitches through 3. Bottom 3 for Davis Martin. 9 up, 9 down. 1 hit, no walks, 4 Ks, 32 pitches, and that would continue. I thought he could go more than the 7 innings he went tonight. Top 4, Antonacci, a 1-out single. Then you know what happens. It's the headline. Have made it for this reason. Sean, I made it. Here you go. It's because Munetaka Murakami hit his 14th home run of the year, tying Aaron Judge for the major league lead. A 2-2 upper 98 mile per hour fastball that Murakami took to dead center. And if you're familiar with Angel Stadium, I think it's the 4th oldest ballpark, made in 1961. There's the outfield, and then there's that like little berm that's elevated. It got up to those bushes up there. An absolutely mammoth shot from Murakami. If you didn't see the home run, go back and see the highlight. But one thing that I did want to mention was the death of New York broadcaster, Yankee radio broadcaster, John Sterling. I absolutely enjoyed Sterling's calls, even the Gio Urshela call. I'm gonna do a bad John Sterling impression here. Gio Urshela, what a fella! I know it's what a happy fella. Anyways, R.I.P. John Sterling, passed away today. But to honor him, here's Len Kasper's call, the Munetaka Murakami 14th home run.
2-2. A swing and a fly ball out in the center. It is high. It is far. It is gone. A moonshot for Mooney.
And that is from ESPN 1000. Fingers crossed we don't get flagged for that. But hey, is Golo Poe in the chat, 1776, saying the crack of the bat was so loud. That is Munetaka Murakami, and that is his 14th home run. And Miguel Vargas, while I'm frantically tweeting out that Murakami homered, they go back-to-back. Vargas with a solo shot. It's 5-0 White Sox. And this is Jose Soriano that before he met the White Sox had a 2.4 ERA. Soriano was leading the league with that ERA. Now it's 1.74, a measly 1.74. Come on, Davis Martin is at what, 165 right now? 164. So league-leading ERA. Get out of here, Jose Soriano. You've met the White Sox. But Miguel Vargas with his, I believe now, seventh home run. Munetaka Murakami and Vargas go back-to-back in the fourth. Soriano, 88 pitches through 4. He would be done after 4 innings, and that's what the White Sox at least have been doing. They have been trying to give the starting pitcher consistent hell through 35 games. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. This first 6 games, pretty ugly. Everything since then's looked pretty nice. The White Sox are above 500 after those first 6 games. You look at the bottom of the 4, Zach Neto and Trout Cade. Shanuel doubles, and then Soler gets a ground out. Just continuation of Davis Martin attacking in the zone, not walking guys, and not putting unnecessary runners on base. Top of the 6, Murakami, 2-out double. His first career double. I think he would later single again, and that would be his 3rd hit. But before that, it was 14 singles, 14 homers, and 1 double for Munetaka Murakami. It would later become 15 singles, 14 homers, and now a double for Munetaka Murakami. But again, by diversifying that portfolio for Munetaka Murakami. Bottom 6, Martin fantastically cruising. 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 9 Ks, 73 pitches. I really did think that he could go longer than the 7. He would. Top 7, Benny with his 3rd hit. Grichuk does get subbed in. We'll talk about Randall Grichuk, the new White Sox, later on in the show as Austin Hayes goes to the 10-day IL. Bottom 7th, Shanuel with a leadoff double, Adele with a 2-out single, and then runners at 1st and 3rd for Davis Martin. It gets a little bit hairy. Low lines out to center field. Nice play by Derek Hill. I think he first went in, then moving back, just made a nice, at least secure play. That is going to be the end of Davis Martin's day. The Dart with 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, no earned runs, no walks, and a career-high 10 strikeouts, 85 pitches for Davis Martin. They were easily leading, so I didn't hate the true decision to pull Martin. Let's keep these guys as healthy as possible. But 164 is where Davis Martin's ERA currently sits. He also had a career-high 19 whiffs on the day, matching his total from August 31st, 2024. That brain still works, folks. But Davis Martin getting 4 whiffs on his four-seam fastball, 3 on his changeup, 9 on his slider. Listen to this. 11 swings on Davis Martin's slider. 9 whiffs. That is a dominant pitch right there. 69, nice % called strike plus whiff percentage. He got 2 whiffs on his cutter and then 1 on his curveball. 19 whiffs on 52 swings. 37% whiff rate, a 35% called strike plus whiff rate. And then when you look at the balls in play, 15 batted ball events and an average exit velocity of 88.8, which is very, very good. And Davis held his velocity throughout the game. Four-seam fastball in the first inning, 94.5 miles per hour. And then you look in the 7th, 94.1. So he was able to at least hold his velocity throughout the game. And the one thing, too, first time through the order, he really used that four-seam fastball 44% of the time. Then second time through, he ups that changeup usage from 13% to 33%. And then you go to the third time in the order, it's the lowest amount he's throwing his four-seam fastball at 24%. He lowers that changeup percentage to 29, but then he starts to feature that slider. And we could see, obviously, later in the game, it really started to show great dividends for Davis Martin, getting 9 whiffs on that slider. Great outing for the Dart. Top 8, Murakami, another single. His 3rd hit of the game. Murakami is my favorite player. He hits that ball, and I asked people sort of, sacrilegiously, is this what it was like to watch Frank Thomas? I was around for the hurt Frank Thomas, the 2004, the 2005 Frank Thomas. Ken Williams, what did you think about that guy?
It's not easy to deal with an idiot.
It's easy to deal with a Hall of Famer that gets on base like 400% of the time, though. But anyways, it's just been absurd watching Murakami. It's obviously not Frank Thomasian, but a 240 average so far, a 377 on base percentage for Munetaka Murakami. He draws another walk tonight as well, and a 584 slugging percentage, his 14th home run on the year, tying the lead with Aaron Judge in 14. Later on, with Murakami getting that single, Vargas would hit a single into right field. Mune, with more hustle in a 5-0 game, gets to third base, and then Montgomery with an RBI single into right field, making it 6-0 White Sox. You love to see M, Murakami, Miguel, and Montgomery coming through. I think I'm stealing that from Ashley Page in our Discord, but good job, Ashley. It's a good thing right there. M. I would have liked Eminem, thinking back to Johnny Nitro and Joey Mercury and Melina, but we don't need to talk about SmackDown versus Raw 2007. Top of the ninth, Benintendi with his 4th hit. It's his it's the Sox' first 4-hit game this year. Sox win 6-0. It's their 4th shutout of the year, and the White Sox are now 17-8 on the season, and they are a half game back in the division.
A White Sox winner and a world championship.
Again, they have not won a championship yet, but it just keeps getting better and better. The Sox are 7-3 in their last 10, and when you look at their road trip so far, they are 3-1 against the Padres and Angels so far, half game back of the Tigers and Guardians. They sit at 18-18. The Sox are at 17-18. The Royals not too far back, 16-19. They have won 8 of their last 2. They've won 4 straight. They're a game and a half back, so watch out for Kansas City. And then the Minnesota Twins, 15-20, 2.5 games back. They are 3-7 in their last 10, though. And when we flip over to the wild card, the White Sox currently hold a wild card position. Whoa. Tampa Bay Rays are currently the wild card leader at 22-12. They have a 5.5 game lead over the Tigers, I believe. The Tigers sit at 18-18 at a game and a half back. And then the White Sox sit at 17-18. That doesn't make I guess because then that would mean Cleveland wins the division, and that's why the Tigers get in. Whoa. I mean, that I didn't realize that the White Sox are currently now alone, as the Mariners are 17-18 and the Rangers are 16-18. They're both a half game back of the White Sox. Hell yeah. Goop like soup in the chat saying, let's go. Let's go. Indeed. Jay Hosey saying SVR 2011's goated. I like the first SmackDown versus Raw with the redacted on the page with one eye red and one eye blue. Okay. We are 14 minutes in. I think this is the perfect time for a break. We have 146 people watching. Hit that thumbs up button. After this break, this 2-minute break, I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about that wild card positioning. We're going to talk about the AL Central. I think the AL Central is more in grasp for the Chicago White Sox. I don't know about the wild card being their route to the playoffs, but I think it's possible. I think it's very, very possible that your Chicago White Sox could be looking at the playoffs in 2026. A lot of things need to go right, but some things already have. We'll talk about it after the break here on the CHGO White Sox postgame show presented by Bet365. We want to let you know about our friends over at Bet365, where winning is everything. We love spending a full 9 at the ballpark, but we also get it. There are 81 home games in a season, and you've got places to be. Whether you're trying to beat the Dan Ryan traffic home or you're trying to get to the 33rd Street bars early, sometimes getting out of the game early is the move. That's why Bet365 is offering their 5-run early payout. Whenever the team you're riding goes up 5 runs at any point in the game, they'll pay out your bet right there and then. It's as simple as that. They can't stop bullpens from ruining your day, but they can help them from stop ruining your bets. Bet365, where winning is everything. Download the app and use code CHGO365 when you sign up. And this is the best place to bet on Munetaka Murakami. We got them to boost his odds for AL Rookie of the Year before the season. I think it was at 8-1. Now it's like 2-1. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Must be physically located in Illinois. Terms and conditions apply. In-app only. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Game Time. Game Time is your ticket into the best events in Chicago. And since you live in a top city like Chicago, or live close enough to a top city like Chicago, whether it's Major League Baseball, whether it's the World Cup that's coming in 36 days, there's a Casamigos countdown behind me. Whatever it is, a concert. I just saw Bruce Springsteen last week at the United Center. Game Time is the app that is a lifesaver. It gives the advantage back to fans with tickets to all the matchups, games, and concerts you care about. You could track price drops in real times, get alerts when seats open up, and grab tickets the moments they hit the app. It's all backed by the Game Time guarantee, and I've used them every single time I've gone to Rate Field this year to enjoy a White Sox game. Fees are included, so you know your total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. I paid $8 for my last White Sox ticket. So take the guesswork out of buying soccer tickets, baseball tickets, concert tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Welcome back to the CHGO White Sox podcast presented by Bet365. We are going to get to the Future is Bright segment presented by our friends over at Shady Rays, but let's give you the real details so far. We're going to give you the playoff talk. We'll talk about our friend Munetaka Murakami and, again, why I think the extension is possible. I found a very fun stat, and we'll talk about that after the second ad break, at least when it comes to big money contracts. When the White Sox spend, not only have they spent on Andrew Benintendi, a left fielder, and Yasmani Grandal, a catcher, but outside those like big 70+ million contracts, they spent a lot on first baseman and DH. So we'll get about that, or we'll talk about that a little bit later after the break. Sox win 6-0. Hit that thumbs up button. You guys did a great job responding to that during the break. 180 people, though, have started watching us, though. We've gone from 146 to 180. If you just jumped in, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribing as well. 75% of our last big post-game show. 75% of you were not subscribed. Hit that subscribe button to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. We are going to be here tomorrow, and we're going to be here Wednesday. And then I know on the 15th, when the Cubs end up playing the White Sox, or Irv in the chat saying the Cubs series looking like a good measuring stick, I will be live that Friday after the Cubs-White Sox game. So we will have a post-game show on that 15th. So the 4th, 5th, 6th are our next post-game shows. I guess the 4th is currently going on, and then we will have one on the 15th as well. Some in between, but at least that's the schedule I know of right now. Corey with the super chat. Mwah, love you, Corey. I've never had more fun watching a below 500 team, LMAO. I hear you, Corey, but I guess the fun is the fact that they are trending up. The fun is that if you take away that 1-5 start, oh, God, why am I doing math with no Joey around? They are 16-13. So, at least if you've watched the last, 29 games? Yeah, 29 games. That Brother Ice education's paying off, folks. Thank you, Mom. Mother's Day is just coming around the corner. She'll love to hear that. They're 16-13 in the last 29 games. So that's the accountant's son paying off here. Oompa Lumpia, fun, saying, I got to see my first Murakami home run tonight, and it was a beauty. Irv in the chat also saying, Mooney is a star. Our star. Absolutely. I'm very excited to talk about Brooks Boyer going to Japan 3 times already to get some advertisement deals for Murakami. Kevin in the chat also saying, love the Antonacci move to leadoff spot. Last 15 games, he's hitting .311 and having a .396 on base percentage. And part of that, too, is, again, he just crowds the plate. He's going to get hit. I think he's already gotten hit 4 times. So if you're not going to pitch into him, you're just going to pitch over the plate. It's a great thought. Sam Antonacci just going up there wearing body armor, kind of Anthony Rizzo-esque back in the day, and just saying, hit me, put me on base. Oh, well. And then Yuka in the chat saying Murakami and Seiya are trending in Japan right now. I'm very excited to talk about the White Sox possibility of re-signing Munetaka Murakami. As I know some people, at least I was watching the White Sox game with the Cubs crew over there as they're watching the Cubs come back and hit a walk-off to beat the Reds, right? But Luke Stuckmeyer, Grandpa, as I call him with hate and despise, he kept saying whenever Murakami was doing something, trade him. I need that to stop with all of my heart. I need Munetaka Murakami to be a Chicago White Sox forever. All right, let's look at the standings again and why I think, while the wild card is fun that the White Sox currently hold a wild card spot, I do think the AL Central is more of a true route to the playoffs for your Chicago White Sox. Currently, Tampa, again, leading the AL wild card at 22-12. They're 5.5 games ahead of the Detroit Tigers, who are 18-18. They currently are a game and a half ahead of the White Sox, both in the AL Central and the second place for the Major League wild card. Sox are 17-18. Mariners breathing down their neck, 17-19. Rangers at 16-18. Sox will play the Mariners on the 18th, 19th, and 20th. So again, if you're looking for the Cubs to be kind of a sounding bell for how good this team is, you have the Mariners, not only on the 18th, 19th, and 20th, you have them on the 8th, 9th, and 10th as well. So you have a pretty good test coming up here on the 8th, 9th, 10th, through the 20th, where you have the Mariners 6 times, the Royals 3 times, and then the Cubs 3 times as well. But truly, what I need you guys to focus in on is the White Sox versus the AL Central. And I understand that it's kind of a duh. I mean, this is the person that cannot do 5 minus 17 and then 16 or 17 minus 1 on air. So I understand that I might be saying like a duh sentence here, but the White Sox true path to the playoffs is beating the AL Central teams. It's not really the wild card that I would hold your breath out on. The AL Central has some weakness. They are all a Death Star of a team if you think about it. If the Guardians are not having Jose Ramirez and Steven Kwan perform to their typical Steven Kwan and J-Ram self, then that's already a budget team that's suffering from where they spend money and where their typical 4, 5+ WAR players are producing, right? If you're taking away from that crop, it's going to be more difficult for them to succeed. When you look at the Tigers, it's unfortunate news, but Tarek Skubal is now going to be out 2 to 3 months per Jeff Passan. Could possibly be more. He has foreign bodies in his elbow. That sounds gross. That sounds unpleasant. I understand that they went out and signed for Amber Valdez, and that's sort of a safety valve for them, but Tarek Skubal is the back-to-back AL American League Cy Young. It's a pretty nice gift for the White Sox if you are trying to win the AL Central. And then you look at the surging Kansas City Royals. It's a team that the White Sox are already 2-2 against. You have 3 more games coming up. If the White Sox can finally buck the trend of being better than the Kansas City Royals, maybe that is their path in. I understand it's an obvious situation, but I'm not going to get too excited about them smoking the Angels a ton, right? What are they going to be doing against the teams that they have to see 13 times? When these guys get scouted and looked at over and over again, what will be exploited by your in-division foes? And if the White Sox can curb that, and if the White Sox can still have those pitchers force pitches into the zone, that's where we can see maybe some true excitement for the White Sox making the playoffs. Let's go through their record versus the AL Central just to lay this out. 2021 against Cleveland, they go 10-9. They go 10-9. Against Detroit, they go 12-7. Kansas City, they go 9-10. Minnesota, they go 13-16. So the only team in 2021, the last time they won the AL Central, the only team they had a losing record against was Kansas City at 9-10, 1 game under. They go 44-32 in the AL Central. And the one thing that I do love about it, 81-81 is 500. The White Sox won 93 games. They were 12 games over 500 in the division, and they finished 12 games over 500 in the actual regular season as well. It's different now because you're playing less games against the Central and against your division foes. 2022, the Sox go 37-39, 12-7 against Detroit, 7-12 against Cleveland, 9-10 against Cleveland, 9-10 against Kansas City, and then 9-10 against Minnesota. 2023, 8-5 against Cleveland, 5-8 against Detroit, 6-7 against Kansas City, 4-9 against Minnesota. They go 61-101, 23-29, 6 under 500 when you're looking at the division. Again, if you're trying to avoid a sub 500 season, the division is truly where you're going to have to make your money. 2024, they go 5-8 against Cleveland, 3-10 against Detroit. Somehow it gets worse. 1-12 against Kansas City, 1-12 in Minnesota, 10-42 in the division when they are the worst team in Major League Baseball history in 2024. 2025, 2-11 against Cleveland, 5-8 against Detroit, 3-10 against Kansas City, and then they were above 500 against Minnesota, 8-5, 18-34. So, you can't really look for 23-29. At least in recent history, that's their best year against the AL Central with this new schedule. If the White Sox can be close to 500 there, if they could be 2 games over 500 there, that's going to be the majority of their games. That's really when we can get truly excited. I love what we see. I'm not trying to say hold your horses, because winning games is never a bad thing. The White Sox might be above 500 or at 500 with another win tomorrow. That is a win immediately. I was not believing Chris Getz when he was saying to David Kaplan and Ryan McGuffey on the recap during this offseason that they're no longer rebuilding, they're building. I didn't believe it, right? They weren't really spending on pitching. That outfield looked atrocious. Still kind of does. They're winning games. I'm just incredibly impressed with what we've seen over the past 29 games from your Chicago White Sox. It feels similar to what they did in the second half. So when you look at their past 35 plus, I don't know, I think it was about 60 games. Like, look at their past 90 games. They've been a pretty decent ball club. And I look at last year's Marlins team. I'm so sorry. The Marlins team, after they get Peter Bendix from the Rays, they didn't have that great of a team, right? But Derek Sherman was their hitting coach. They went 79-83. Pretty good record for the Marlins, who weren't spending any money. They had a negative 89 win differential, but the White Sox right now, I think after this game, are 11, sub 11 on the run differential. And part of that is because they got blown out that 14-12 game against the Brewers. It's a 9-run differential now for the Sox, but I could see them being Mariner-esque, right? They are in mostly every single game. You look at this weekend, they win 8-2 on Friday against the Padres. You get homers from Mooney and Colson. They go back-to-back after some pregame sushi. You get Schultz, who's been a breath of fresh air for the White Sox. 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 3 walks, 2 Ks, 87 pitches from the youngster. Great game on Friday. Saturday, another shutout for the Sox. Burke goes 6 innings, 4 hits, no earned, 1 walk, 8 Ks. His slider was filthy as well. And then Sunday, the Sox lose 4-3, but they were in it in the 8th, thanks to a Derek Hill, of all people, home run. And you look at the way they lost that game, it's pretty much a swinging bunt from Bogarts that gets in between third base and the pitcher. And Hudson, as a lefty's coming off the mound towards first base. It's tough for him to make that play. Oh well. I don't really think that's the White Sox blowing it in a game. It's just kind of bad luck. That's playing 162 games of baseball. I'm now going to be joined by my producer, Sarah. Hello, Sarah. Hit that thumbs up button. We got over 200 people watching, and we have 72 likes. We are closing in on a break here. We will star some comments once we get into the break as Sarah settles in. But this is a fun time. If you are not excited, if you've been a pessimistic White Sox fan, not going to tell you not to be. I understand every reason to be pessimistic for your Chicago White Sox, whether it's Jerry, whether it's, Tony La Russa being hired in 2021, whether it was Pedro being hired, right? Whether you have beef with the play-by-play guy. I understand the reason to be pessimistic as a White Sox fan. But what is undeniable is this meatball soul inside of me. And Chris Getz has done a pretty decent job of building this team up. I crapped on Zach Bove pretty early on. 6 games, did not give him any slack. Teams look pretty good. Davis Martin looks great. They're going with that kitchen sink approach that's worked for Michael Wacha, for Seth Lugo, right? Sean Burke is now featuring that curveball as his main pitch, and that's making that slider more dynamic because that knuckle curve is neutral, right? You really don't know where it's going to go with its horizontal break and being close to 0. So when you have that, you can throw your fastball on top of it, and then that slider just really is kind of game over. Because if you're able to dot it on the outside corner, you're trying to protect from the curveball. You're trying to protect from the 95 atop. That slider is just in between and going away. You're either going to make weak contact or you're going to swing and miss. So this is a fun team. K's a little bit of a weak spot in the rotation, but I think he's better than what his results have been so far. He was decent on Sunday, at least put the Sox in a position to win. Fetty's been pretty fun so far, and Hagen's not here just yet for your Chicago White Sox. McDougal faces a little bit of a setback. Shane Smith has faced a little bit of a setback, so you don't have reinforcements coming just yet. I don't think this is a team that would necessarily add at the trade deadline, but your reinforcements, as we loved Rick Hahn to say, are internal, right? Like Braden Montgomery at some point will be a Chicago White Sox playing right field for your team in those pinstripes. At some point, Tanner McDougal will be either in the bullpen or starting rotation throwing for the Chicago White Sox. Hagen Smith will be in the rotation at some point for your White Sox. Hopefully Shane Smith, whether in a bullpen role or rotation, will be able to bolster this pitching staff. You're not going to get that reinforcement from Mike Vassell, but hopefully Smith, McDougal. There's 2 Smiths. It's Hagen and Shane. That's why my brain got locked up. There's 2 Smiths, folks. It's Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Or I guess it's just Mr. and Mr. Smith. But anyways, yeah, my brain locked up there. Hopefully the 2 Smiths can give you some reinforcements along with Tanner McDougal. Okay, we're hitting a break here. We are going to talk about Munetaka Murakami, why I actually think it's realistic the White Sox could extend Munetaka Murakami even with this owner. Oh, hold on, wait, I have the right. CHGO White Sox postgame show presented by Bet365. We'll be right back after this. We are all looking for ways to stand out at work and use our friends over at ComEd to help you stand out at your job. What if we told you there's an easy way to save your company hundreds of thousands of dollars? Just sign up for a free facility assessment from ComEd. Their engineer will give you free insights and actions that can help you save your business on energy costs. Basically, they'll create a plan to help you stand out at work and your business save for free. Visit ComEd.com/facility assessment to learn more. That's ComEd.com/facility assessment to learn more. Actual savings will vary based on customer usage and rate. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Shady Rays. I don't have my Shady Rays on because it's night. I am not Corey Hart, who is that 80s guy. I wear my sunglasses at night. I'm not doing that. It's a night game. But I drove during the day with my Shady Rays on, and I looked cool as hell. That moment, the one where you realized your favorite sunglasses are at the beach, or you are on the roof of your car, or at the gas station 3 states away. I've been there before, too. Just it's a park 10 minutes away from my house, and I didn't want to go back and look for it. I did, though, find Shady Rays, and they've changed the game. These sunglasses are made for real life. They're seriously good looking. They're polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. I was walking down the steps of my house the other day, and I dropped them twice, and they didn't break. They didn't bend. They're the perfect shades that I love to see. And here's the wild part. If you lose or break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair with no guilt trip, just replacements. So now you can wear your sunglasses without fear on hikes, at concerts, on the boat, wherever, because if you damage or lose them, Shady Rays has your back. And if not, you are going to look fantastic and have polarized sunglasses for those beautiful eyeballs in your face. Now you can wear your sunglasses without fear. Shady Rays is the eyewear that has your back. Go to shadyrays.com and use code CHGOSR for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized shades. That's shadyrays.com and use code CHGOSR for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. You know, it's a big show when the boss is in here. Stephen Nicholas is in here critiquing us. He's telling you folks that 230 people are watching. We only got 80 likes. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. This is a free show. I know we've played 2 ads already, but outside of this, for the rest of the show, I'm just going to be ranting and raving about your Chicago White Sox. I appreciate the super chat from Jerry. We'll get to that in just a second. We do have a sponsored ad coming up, or at least a sponsor segment, but I promise it will be worth it. Again, hit that thumbs up button. And typically, when we've had these large shows, we've been getting more and more viewers because of Munetaka Murakami. 75% of you are not subscribed. Hit that subscribe button as well. If you're already by that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button. We're at 107K, right? Do it for the 108ers. You know, I could screenshot 108 subscribers and get like 32 likes on that hashtag 108ing, do it for those guys. All right. Chicago 312 saying too bad Mooney will be traded. Crying face. Ban him. We're just banning him. We're not hearing that. If you're going to be a pessimist, take that outside, go scream, come back inside, watch a Munetaka Murakami highlight reel. Chloe put one together of all of his homers in May. Eye bleach yourself. Don't talk like that. Okay. The future is bright. Presented by Shady Rays. Oh, my God. Munetaka Murakami is a White Sox, and that needs to be the fact for at least 5 more years. 7 more if we're including the 2 he's already signed for.
He's on the team for next year.
But we got to make it longer, Ed, okay? Future is bright, presented by our friends over at Shady Rays. Use code CHGOSR for 50% off 2 pairs of polarized sunglasses. Let's go to John Greenberg. The Athletic does not have a beat writer, but John Greenberg sometimes is there. And I appreciate him for doing that. I was frustrated just realizing that there's only 3 active beat writers for the Chicago White Sox in James Fegan, Scott Merkin, and then Lamont Pope of the Chicago Tribune. Bruce Levine and Cheryl Ray Stout do a great job of gathering audio for their stations. No one really hears it. TV producers do a great job of recording stuff for their station. Nobody watches the news. Josh Friedman does a good job. They at least do, GN Sports, so shout out to them. Jared Payton, legend of a Hall of Famer. But, rant regardless, James Fegan's the GOAT. John Greenberg wrote about Munetaka Murakami. I stood around the team store during 2 recent games and saw fans flock to the shelves of Murakami shirts, which spells his name in English and kanji. White Sox Chief Revenue and Marketing Officer Brooks Boyer said that there's been a 60-40 split in fans buying jersey in English and Japanese, 60 being English, 40 being Japanese. That important thing is that they're buying them. Boyer said, this has been kind of unprecedented territory. His jersey is outselling the rest of the team combined, kind of as you'd expect. During Murakami's most recent Homer binge, Boyer was in Japan for the third time this year on White Sox business.
He better stay out of White Sox business.
It's his job. This time talking to Japanese travel agencies. The Sox are hosting Shohei Ohtani's Dodgers in the second week of June, and there is going to be an influx of Japanese tourists heading to Wright Field. Boyer is working on some deals with Japanese companies, and a Murakami bobblehead night should soon be announced. Side note, this is just current, Sean. There is currently a Murakami bobblehead. I was able to convince my wife to give me the $60 to buy that ticket. I think the White Sox are playing the A's, and it's a Mune Japan bobblehead. And I am so excited for it. I'm thrilled for it. That's the only time I'll pay full price for a White Sox ticket, at least right now. Again, Boyer is working on deals with Japanese companies. Murakami bobblehead night should be announced soon. The Sox marketing department has been hustling in recent years, churning out milkshakes and Pope hats now that they not only have a player to market, but also a team that isn't bad. Boyer said, Murakami has made us more relevant. It's really fun. We're sitting here at the end of the April, and we're not out of it. May 4th, you're in it, Brooks Boyer. And I hearken back to Bob Nightingale's horrible day on the Score just a couple of days ago, I think last week, when talking about Munetaka Murakami, he said that the extension is based on tickets, and that, at least Lawrence Holmes and Matt Spiegel said that's sloppy from Bob's source, saying that the players themselves should define an extension, that the baseball operations should define whether they keep a player or not, and not ticket sales. But it is relieving to hear Brooks Boyer saying Murakami has made us more relevant. They clearly know ways to make money around a guy that is selling jerseys like it's nothing. He's outselling the rest of the team. That's with pretty much local products, Noah Schultz and Colson Montgomery. That's not a nothing feat. There's a ton of Cubans in Chicago. Miguel Vargas is having one hell of a year. A Vargas 20 in a City Connect 2.0 would go crazy. I think that it's pretty impressive and not shocking because, again, Murakami is a true star. He's bringing eyes here, 246 people watching.
Power.
He has the power, I think, to make the White Sox spend. I was looking over this because my job is, looking into White Sox stats. And I was trying to look into why the White Sox would actually extend, or if the White Sox would actually extend Munetaka Murakami. And I was basing most of this specifically off of the White Sox signing Yasmani Grandal, a catcher, to a $73 million contract, and Andrew Benintendi to a $75 million contract. Kyle Tucker and Soto have had nice paydays. They're both right fielders. Left field is not typically a position you go out and spend on. Catcher, I think that's the third highest free agent deal ever given to a catcher in Yasmani Grandal for $73 million, right? They've kind of attacked lesser favored positions. In free agency since 1991, this is from Cots Baseball Contracts, the White Sox have handed out 21 contracts worth $20+ million. Those 21 contracts add up to $817 million. $353 million of that $817 million, 42.3%, have gone to a first baseman or DH type. Abreu, his first contract, 6 years, $68 million. Konerko, his, I think, first actual free agency contract, 5 years, $60 million in 06 to 10. Adam Dunn, 11 to 14, 4 years, $56 million. Abreu, 2020 to 2022, 3 years, $54 million. Konerko, 11 to 13, 3 years, $337.5 million. There's that number. That's the second contract for Konerko. Murakami, his contract currently 2 years, $34 million. Adam LaRoche, 15 to 16, not a stupid kid, 2 years, $25 million. And then Frank Thomas, just kind of showing you the sign of the times, his 2003 and 2006 contract, 4 years, $22.5 million.
It's not easy to deal with an idiot.
He's underpaid, and he hates you, Kenny Williams, okay? He was the White Sox for 14 years. It's okay that he was annoyed that you guys were paying him dirt. But with the influx of contracts, with seemingly the lockout approaching for Major League Baseball, you see young players like Kevin McGonigal getting $150 million. Pete Crow Armstrong, not in a bad way, he got like $140 million, right? I mean, Nico Horner got a fairly nice contract. I think it was $115 million. Right, and you know, he's a second baseman with kind of undervalued. I just think that while Munetaka Murakami has been wowing everybody with the home runs, it is a limited positional value. Half the reason why people didn't sign him, and he ends up becoming a White Sox, is because he wasn't a center fielder that if he didn't hit, he can at least give you decent value. I mean, Tristan Peters has been able to hide in the outfield, basically being Michael A. Taylor 2.0, and he's been fun to watch.
He's my second favorite player on the team.
He's your second favorite player. Is that because he's not bad looking?
No. It's because that's the banana man, right?
Right, he's Banana Boy.
Yeah, Banana Boy.
He's got a nice tailored beard.
But he's also just been a star for you guys too.
Well, yeah, star. Okay, hold on.
Corey Lee is a star in the making.
That's like Corey Lee being a star in the making there. You know, Shy Buff saying Jerry won't pay $100 million. Let's be real, guys. I think it's inevitable. They are the only team. Or at least they are the team with the lowest contract ever. The A's are giving out $86 million contracts. Soderstrom's extension, I think, can get over to $130 million. It's inevitable at this point. Right now, when you look at the Bulls specifically, part of the reason they spent, I think, 4 contracts, and then if you include Pat Williams at $90 million, they've had 5 contracts over $90 million. That's because the salary cap has forced them to do that. If the lockout is encroaching, and there will be at least a salary floor set, the White Sox will have to meet that. And the salary floor is a lot higher than currently what the White Sox are spending. I think a floor would have to be around 150, 160. I could be wrong. It could be even higher than that. The White Sox, to get there, will have to sign somebody like Munetaka Murakami. If they want to give them the Pete Alonso, Kyle Schwarber deal for 5 years, 150, that could fill out a really good gap of the White Sox payroll. They only have Benintendi locked up long term. Outside of that, Kay's going to be up in a year. Dominguez is going to be up in a year. Colson's on pre-arb. Vargas is on pre-arb. Mydroth on pre-arb. Antonacci on pre-arb. Schultz, Hagen, Tanner, pre-arb. Taylor, pre-arb. Leisure, pre-arb. Lee, Caro, pre-arb. Drew Romo, pre-arb. They have, and Edward in the chat saying Nico got 141, Pete got 121. Thank you. It just seems inevitable. I understand the pessimism. I'm not out here standing for Jerry Reinsdorf. He is going to pay the minimum he has to pay, but I think that minimum is going to be forced upon him. I think that minimum is encroaching, whether he likes it or not. Zach LaVine got, I think, a over $200 million contract. Josh Giddey got a $100 million contract. I'm blanking on the next one. There was one at 125. Maybe it was DeMar DeRozan, and then Patrick Williams at $90 million. The Bulls have been giving out $100 million plus contracts for 4 years. I mean, the White Sox can give out a $100 million contract for like a 7-year contract. They could get a little bit more of their bang for their buck, especially with the national or at least worldly audience that they're bringing in. And again, I do understand the point about, you know, Jerry and being pessimist around him. There was a interesting tweet that I saw. Steph Curry wasn't on the Jalen Hurts podcast, but this host looks like Jalen Hurts. Steph said that NBA players are underpaid, and it is fair because the people that make the product are the players. The only thing that an owner actually does is control the means of the product. The players create the actual value. The NBA didn't take off until Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. MLB was almost done until those steroid juiced up freaks in Maguire and Sosa started hitting 60 home runs. I understand that's not the way that you want to grow the game, but stars grow the game. The reason the NBA is where it's at is because of LeBron James, because of Steph Curry, because of the current stars that are driving that sport forward, like Jokic and Wemby. But again, that is why, and this person called out, that is why some owners, i.g. the Reinsdorf, are bad on purpose to show that capital can have power after all, that they'd rather penny pinch than pay labor, and that Bulls ownership was like, we want to make sure this is sustainable, like making the playoffs, because they're just going to increase their playoff revenue. That's why our guy Matt Peck is telling you not to spend money on games. That's why Matt Peck is boycotting his own CHGO events, because he's trying to stick to his morals of not giving the Reinsdorf what they want. a full house of happy people ready to spend $40 on concessions per person, plus parking, right? Plus seats, plus a jersey. They are trying to make every single buck that they can off of you. And they can absolutely afford this contract. There is no way around it. And the walls are closing in on Papa Kitten. Okay. At some point, Jerry Reinsdorf is going to have to sign a $100 million contract. Munetaka Murakami, if he's giving you revenues within Chicago, he's giving you revenues outside of Chicago in Japan, there is no reason that this offseason, there shouldn't be serious discussions about keeping Munetaka Murakami in Chicago.